Hello. 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 What's that? What's that? Sounds good. Hi, everyone. I love St. Thomas. Over there. My name is Deb Broderick. I'm your presenter. I was supposed to be here 6 minutes ago. I thought I was Prince. I get to start late. But I'm not. Fortunately. Wow, there's a lot of people here today. Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Oh, my goodness. You're not filming this, are you? This adds a whole different menu. This adds a whole different thing. Okay. My name is Deb Broderick. I am your presenter for Family Transitions. This is Family Transitions. I'm my job here, my day job here is a director of counseling and psychological services. I am a licensed psychologist, and I am analyzing every single one of you. Yes, we do that. Any other mental health professionals in the room? Yeah, don't tell them the secret. I need a little warm up here because I just ran from across Summit Avenue. So have you been having a good morning? Yeah? Yeah? Learning all the things? Learning all the things? Who's cried already? Anybody? Yeah? Has there been some crying? Been some crying, Dad. Nice. Nice vulnerability there, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. There's some crying. I promise you might do a little crying in my presentation. I don't try to make people cry. It just happens because we're talking about life and we're talking about kids. Why am I talking like that? We're talking about children who are now young adults. It's true, they're young adults. We're going to talk about the transition from when they were home and they've been home forever and the transition to when they're not going to be at home. And what the hell are you going to do? That's right. Yeah. What's going to happen to your family and all that kind of stuff? Well, we're going to talk about that, right? Here's our goals. Because we're higher ed, we have to have goals. I'm going to give you a little information about counseling and psychological services, just to give you a little context. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, right? Just want to do that piece. I'm going to give you some information about college student development, otherwise known as This is Normal. It might be annoying, it might be hard, it might be frustrating, it might be thrilling, but it's normal. What you're experiencing, what your student is experiencing and will experience is normal. Hi, we don't notice you coming in. That's okay. I was late too, so it's okay. And then I'm going to give you some context for all the feelings that you're having, right? Because I'm a therapist, so we're going to talk a little bit about feelings. I'm not going to make you stand up and tell me your feelings. If I do, I have to charge you. I don't want to do that. Right. But we are going to maybe have you do a little bit of reflection about what it feels like to send your child off to college and what kind of changes you're going to go through. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to stop pacing for a minute, but I like to move around a little bit. And I've been sitting all day in staff meetings, which is why I was late, because I was in a staff meeting. I lost track of time. So here's my question. We start this off. I've been doing this for about 47 years. It feels like a lot. I've been doing this a long time. It's one of my favorite things to do all year long. I love doing this piece. Because most of the time I talk to your students, and I hardly ever get to talk to you all. And it's like, oh, okay, now adult conversations. That's good. Who has seen this presentation before, if maybe this is not your first child coming to St. Thomas? We have a couple. All right. Just FYI, I'm going to tell the same jokes I did last year. Just laugh along, pretend you never heard them, tell your neighbor, she's funny. Raise your hand if this is your first child going to college. Let's get a feel for who's here. Okay, good amount. Okay. How about number 2? Number 2, lots of number 2s. Okay. 3? Mom goes, me. 3. Okay. 4? 4? 4s. You know where we're going here. 5. Do I have 5? Do I have 5? It's a Catholic school. 6? 6? Oh my goodness, look at that. Give that lady a woo. Ma'am, would you please come up here and do this for me, because I could, come on up here. She's in the back going like, whatever. Whatever. They all go to St. Thomas? 3rd. Obviously the smartest ones. Good for you. Good for you. Okay. And then my final question. How about empty nesters? Who's an empty nester? They don't even raise their hand all the way. They just go like this. Empty nesters. Yeah, okay. Good for you. Did you get your puppy yet, empty nesters? Did you get your doodle? Ma'am, did you get your doodle? Good. Got to get your doodle. A lady in the last one asked me, should I seriously get a dog? I said, I don't know. Sure, I like dogs. Dogs are great. Get a dog. Make your children jealous. Why not? It's fun. So, get your doodle, folks, when you're ready. Okay. Ready to go? If we have any questions, I'm going to answer your questions. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to make it up. So, fair warning. I'm going to answer your questions about family transitions. I think we'll have enough time at the end, leave a little time at the end. But if you have a question midway through, just raise your hand. I'm from a big Catholic family, and I'm used to getting interrupted. So go ahead and raise your hand. I'm also the oldest, so I might ignore you, but I won't. I won't ignore you. I'll try the best to answer your questions. Okay, here we go. Look at this first. Look at these fine people. This is our staff of counseling and psychological services. These are we call them our senior staff, because we're also a training center, so we train doctoral level psychologists, students who are getting their PhDs in psychology. So we have those folks in our center every year, and those are people with master's degree, and then they're getting their PhD in counseling, and they spend a year with us to get more training. But this is our core staff here. So. Starting from, let's see, my left, Dr. Saris Badri in the large picture, then going up clockwise, Kelly Howard, Becca Bertram, Gigi Giordano. Below her is Laurel Gunsel, who works on our Minneapolis campus for grad students. Dr. Phil Rozier is our multicultural specialist. And then finally, Gina Liddell Westfeld is our substance use and education prevention counselor. They all provide general counseling as well, but we have some specialists in there. Kelly is our vets liaison, or vets representative, works with our student vets. Here's the kind of work we do. So CAPS is, students call it CAPS. An acronym, it's a little easier for them. They like acronyms. So CAPS is located at the Center for Wellbeing, which I think you will hear more about, or maybe some of you did hear about already, but we'll have an information table. That's our integrated health center. So we have health services, health promotions, and counseling and psychological services. And what we do in counseling is we provide short-term, goal-oriented counseling services for students, enrolled students here. We don't see faculty or staff or families. We see enrolled students, your students. And a couple of highlights of what we do is we have crisis drop-in hours every day, Monday through Friday, from 2 to 4 o'clock. Students can just walk in and talk to a counselor, right? Crisis is very broadly defined. Whatever might be causing distress for a student, we encourage them to come in and talk to a counselor. Usually it's about 30 minutes or so. We have 24-hour phone counseling, which again, students use for kind of urgent distress that might be happening, and those are licensed counselors that are familiar with St. Thomas, and we talk with them, and they tell us if someone calls, and so we know if your student calls our 24/7 phone counseling, I'm going to hear from that counselor the next day, and we're going to talk about what next steps are going to be necessary. So there's always some follow-up with that. We do individual and group counseling. Just like, any other counseling service, we would provide those. We do a lot of workshops, psychoeducational workshop. Our two most popular ones are Anxiety Toolbox, which is for anxiety, and then Rev Up, which is it's really helpful for first-year students. And first of all, it helps them with adjustment to college and kind of just sets them on the right path in terms of helping them talk about resilience, some emotions, and some self-care pieces. So it's kind of a general group. Those are both 3 weeks long. We do substance use education, prevention, and assessment. So if a student has concerns about their relationship with alcohol or cannabis, can be a good, Gina can be a good, helpful person to talk with and do that. And then importantly, what I want you to hear is we do consultation to parents, faculty, and staff. So that if you ever have any concerns about your student, right, or if something has happened in your family that maybe you want to get some help with that might be affecting your student, you can call Counseling and Psychological Services or the Center for Wellbeing and ask to speak to one of the counselors just to get some suggestions or recommendations, or if you're not sure, is this something I should be worrying about? One of our counselors, one of the nice staff that you saw, can help you kind of work through that piece, right? Now, what we're not going to do and what we don't do is we don't reach out to your student. So if you call me and say, I'm concerned about my student, and we're going to talk with you about how you can help your student maybe get to counseling if that's what we think is helpful. But we're not going to call your student later and say, your dad called and he'd like you to come in. Right? That's not going to go over very well. So what we really try to encourage your student to do is, like we're talking again about college student development, we're really trying to helping them learn to have some autonomy and some self-agency. And so part of becoming an adult is knowing when you need to get some help, and folks around you can help you do that piece. So there's lots of, you'll hear more about how we can help students in need through when you talk with the Dean of Students Office, and they'll show you more about that piece. So, okay, that's us. So let's talk about you for a bit, okay? So I want you to think for a moment about what your goals are as parents for your children. Right? Just kind of think about that for a minute. What are your hopes and dreams for them? They're coming to college. This particular child, whether it's your first or your second or your third or your fifth, this particular child, what's your hopes and dreams for this particular student of yours, right? What qualities or attributes will they have when they graduate from here in 4 years? They're all going to graduate in 4 years, right? So what are your hopes and dreams to them, and what qualities or attributes will they have? And those of you who are maybe more extroverted, can you just shout out some things? What do you hope for? They're employable. Fair thing. All right, they're employable. Okay. What else? What else do you want them to be? Independent. Happy. Okay. What else? Confidence. Yeah. Somebody said, along the lines of employable, meaningful work, have meaningful work. Somebody else said, faithful. Yeah. Responsible. Okay, those are good. Have these goals changed? Are these new goals? Like when they were 3, you were like, I don't want you to be happy. Maybe you didn't, maybe you want them to get a job, I don't know. But, right? Of course you want them to be happy and confident and all of those things, and independent for, their age appropriate. So the same goals you had when they were like 0 are probably quite similar to the same goals you have now, right? And so I want you to keep those goals in mind as we talk through what they are developing as college students and how things are going to change for you. I want you to keep those goals in the front of your mind as we go through this. Now, this is very scientific, folks, so don't try this at home. This is how people go from being an adolescent to an adult. So think about your own experience. That's how it goes, right? Please be laughing, because it's actually a little more like this. Yeah, it's a little more complex. This is not real. Please don't take a picture of this and show this to Psychology Today, because they'll take away my license. Because all those boxes are not true, right? Right? But my point is, it's not a simple matter. It hasn't been a simple matter since they've been little, and it's not necessarily simple from adolescence to adulthood. So that developmental stage is somewhere between 18 and really about 25, but for our purposes here, we're talking about 21, 22. And it's not a straight path. And it's filled with a lot of like stops and starts, and I'm gonna try this, and then I'm gonna try this, and then maybe I'm gonna go this way. And this kind of mishap happens, and then this is like everything's going great, but then this happens, right? It's a lot like life. We've all been through it, right? Now, at the bottom of this, you might notice this box called the parental bypass mechanism. Some parents think that that's true. And if you just get in front of that student and you do as much as you can for that student, that somehow you're going to avoid, the student is going to avoid anything that doesn't go well. Somehow, no one's going to end up crying. And sadly, you know, as parents, that's not exactly true, right? I mean, your job in parents is to protect your students, to protect your children, and you do that. And you get in front when they're tiny and they're little, it's like, yeah, you're right there, and you're making sure that nothing is happening to them. And God love you for it. Of course you're doing it, right? And as they get older, you have less and less control, right? You can protect less and less. You've already been through this. Gosh, you've been through junior high and high school. So you know this, right? But you're still going to try, and that's okay. That's okay. And we're going to talk a little bit later about how sometimes you have to learn to kind of step out of the way and know the limits of that piece. So here's what your student is going through. This is what they go through approximately between 18 and 25. This is real. This is like legit psychology. So all of these things, right? Competence, managing emotions, developing interpersonal relationships, establishing identity, developing purpose, integrity. These are some of the things people said. Confidence. Sometimes people have said competence too, right? Competence is the belief that you can do something because you have tried it and you have gotten skilled at it, for example, right? Developing interpersonal relationships. These are adult relationships, right? These will set the course for adult relationships. It starts with roommates, and then it's professors, and then it's employers, then it's friends, then it's romantic partners. How are they going to negotiate those things on an adult level? Establishing identity. This is the age-old question of college student development. Who am I? What belongs to me? What's my important identities? What's my purpose? And how do I achieve that purpose with integrity, consistent with my values and my morals and what my family taught me, what my culture tells me, right? What my faith tells me, perhaps, right? And then finally, autonomy. And here's the deal with autonomy is, this is the thing. They've been working towards autonomy since they were babies, right? Yeah. So this is what we're working at in college. This is what they're moving. They come here and they live here and they learn basic stuff, how to live on their own, how to maybe manage their own food and forage for berries. Well, maybe not that, but how to do those things, right? So they start, right? Yeah, these are all steps towards independence. Remember doing this? Aw, so sweet, right, Mom? Yeah. Who did this today? Anyone? No judgment. It's okay. Okay. I had a lady say, yes, she did do it. But then she explained it was her 4-year-old. So I was like, But it was good. Okay. These are the steps towards independence. These are things you know, all right? So we start with the attachment to the parent, to the caregiver, to the family. That's you. You're the home base. You're the warm nest. You're the thing. You're like, it all starts here, kiddo. All starts here. I got you, right? And they are attached to you. Sometimes you're like, okay. Let's go on a girls' weekend. But that's it. They are there, and like they know that if they get in trouble, they come right back to that warm nest. They come right back to that safe harbor. They're there. But what do they try to do? They try to move away. So they're little babies, and you put them on the ground, and after a couple of months, what do they start to do? Crawl. Remember that? Crawling. And what do? They crawl away from you. And you're like, yay! Oh. And they crawl away from you, and then they crawl a little bit farther, but what do? They always look back. It's like, are you still there? Okay. They crawl a little farther. And then they're toddling, and then they're walking, and then are you still there? Okay, right? Then it's, elementary school, and they like turn around, they're a little farther, and they go, would you buy me this? And then there's middle school and junior high, and then it's like they look around, and they go, I hate you, but can you drive me to the mall? Right? And so they're going a little farther and a little farther and a little farther, and now here they are in college, and you don't even know where they are right now. Right? And you got here, and they probably were like, okay, gotta go, bye, see ya, love you. It has nothing to do, folks, with the fact that whether they love you or not. Of course they love you, but they're moving away from you. So we start to have separation from parent and caregiver, and that leads to feelings of gains and losses, right? Do you remember when they started to walk? It was nice, right? It was nice. It was fun. It was great. It was cute, right? But the loss was I can't pick them up and move them so much, right? There's always losses, right? We all do that. We continue to do this. Who's excited about your child going to college? Yeah, of course. Who's so sad? You can say it. If Dad over here can say it, you can put your hand up, right? There's a little bit of sadness, whether it's your first or second or fifth, or it's your last, right? Because it represents a change. And it represents some greater individuation, right? They are becoming their own person. This is a lifelong process. You've been through this a million times already, right? The child makes their own choices, right? I'm going to go to St. Thomas. A sound decision, by the way. I'm going to go to St. Thomas. And the reason how I got there, right, I made my own decision, probably talking with you, probably talking with other students, and probably making their own decisions. But that choice, that process of making a choice increases their sense of learning and competence, right? They just made probably one of their first big adult decisions about where they're going to go to college. Right? That leads to a sense of competence. Like I did that, right? So it increases their autonomy. Remember, that's the last one in that developmental skill. It increases their sense of autonomy, their sense of independence. That's a gain. That's good. And it decreases their dependence on you. And that's the loss, right? That's the loss. I encourage you to let yourself experience that piece. Because you have been, and you have been raising them to make these decisions, to come to this point of competence. And here, where acceptance and letting go, this is your job, folks. Acceptance that this is the time of life, and I need to start letting go of some of that parental bypass mechanism things. I had to do it. Had to do it. Yeah. Song in your head now? Sorry. It is. And you have done this before, friends. Look at that. Beginning in many different ways. Right? Each one, gains and losses. Each one is like, yeah, that's great, good. They're walking, they're swimming, they're biking, they're going to school, they're driving a car. That's probably the hardest one. And you probably maybe shed a tear or two, I'm guessing, right, if you're a feeling person. We can have both feelings at the same time. You can feel sad, you can feel happy, you can feel excited, you can feel afraid, you can have all those things at the same time. They are neither good nor bad, they just are. That's my free psychological advice right there. How about this? First day of school. First day of college. Now, I will apologize for the gender stereotype there, and I searched everywhere to find a more balanced view, but I think we can insert either parent here, right? Either gender. Yeah, so it's a different time of life. It's a different time of life, right? Yeah. Okay. These are some common concerns that parents have, and you might be having some of these concerns. What if they have trouble making friends? What if they struggle with stress? What if they have a bad roommate, right? The good thing is that we have a lot of services here at St. Thomas to help your student with these things, and we will help your student with these things, but going through some of these things helps your student achieve a sense of independence and competence, right? And we can help them. Trouble making friends, campus life, all kinds of clubs and organizations. Certainly counseling can help with that, right? Struggling with stress, academic counseling can help with that, right? Mm-hmm. Have a bad roommate, residence life can help them mediate some conflict or difficulties between roommates, for sure. What we want to teach students is just don't bug out. See if you can fix that. See if you can kind of learn how to get along with folks. Now this one, I can't really help you with this. What if they do some of the same stupid things you did? Well, they might, right? And that's one of those things that you hope they learn from that, right? And you provide a little guidance and you try your best to pick up the pieces and help them learn the lesson from it. So now you have development. You're going through this. Let's go back to you. Here's what you got to do. Learn the cues for autonomy, right? When they were little, it was pretty easy when they said, no, I want to do it myself, whatever it was, right? In college, it can be a little harder because they really they don't want to hurt your feelings, right? But they might want to stay on campus for a weekend. And so they might say something like, I have to study, or I have to go to a club, or something like that. Or they might be very honest with you and say, I really want to stay here. And maybe, if it's possible, you could say, okay, right? Or other cues for autonomy. I really want to be an accountant, and I know you want me to be an art historian, but I really want to be an accountant. It happens, right? So learn the cues for autonomy. Learn to accept growth and development, right? Remember what we talked about, gains and losses. We've been doing it, you've been accepting it all along, all the time, right? Sometimes it's easier than others, sometimes it's harder. I want you to know that I recognize that this is hard. You have been through this before, but if this is your first child or your last child in particular, this is hard for you. I want to acknowledge that. Despite my breezy presentation, this is hard. Learn to separate from your student within the context of your family culture. What looks like individuation for this family is different than what it looks like for this family, right? So within the context of your family and your culture, you know what that is, and learn to do that separation. Separation does not mean that you are not attached to that child, and that child is not attached to you, and that child doesn't love you, and that your family is non-existent. That is all there still, right? Learn to accept autonomy without rejecting. Now, you're very nice people. You're not going to reject your child, right? But learn to be open to the changes your child is making. Being open to your child and to how they want to express their autonomy will help you stay closer to your child, right? Than kind of drawing lines in the sand. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't get to input, and you don't get to throw up caution signs, and you don't get to say, well, have you thought about this? Because you should, because you're a grown-up, right? And your brain is fully developed, unlike theirs. You should do that, right? But also be open to what they're trying to do. And then build a new adult relationship with your student. These are great young people. They really are. You have raised some terrific, terrific people. And at this age, they are interested and they are curious and they're full of ideas, and some of it might seem completely harebrained to you, right? But really celebrate the fact that they're coming to their own conclusions and they're just exploring the world, right? And learn about it. Find out about it. Tell me about why you like that TikTok video. These are all the things you do as parents. I don't have to tell you. You raise good kids. You've got them here. I think you're doing a pretty good job. These are ways your family is changing, which you also probably know. Relationships, your relationship with them, their relationship with you, the reactions of other children. If you've got little ones at home who might really be missing their older brother or sister and go through their own sadness, right? Family roles, right? What role does your student play in the family, and how is that going to change the dynamics a little bit, right? Tasks and chores. Do they help out at home? Do they watch younger siblings? Do you have a family business where they work in the family business? How are you going to negotiate those roles while they're at school, right? Yeah. Physical spaces, things. The younger kids might be sad, but they really want their Xbox, so they're going to take it or something. So we got to negotiate those things. How do you get through this? Change expectations for your student too. What we recommend is that you talk about it, and these are just some of the things that you might talk about in addition to the previous slide, right? Changes in curfew, finances, visits home, how often are they going to come home? Visits to campus, how many times do they want you to come to campus? Do they want you to come to campus, right? So, what seems reasonable? How are you going to communicate? Are you calling? Who am I kidding? Nobody calls. Are you texting? What are you doing? Are you Facebook messaging? What's the expectations around that? Home and family responsibility, holidays, right? All of those things. And you don't have to talk about everything today. Don't take this list to lunch today and okay, let's go down this list, right? As it comes up, when the opportunity presents itself, don't walk away from it. Walk towards it, folks. Walk towards these, because your student is not going to bring these up with you. You're the grown-up here. You walk towards things that are difficult, because some of these might be difficult, right? So what can you do? Embrace growth and development. Acknowledge the losses. Acknowledge your losses. This is work you need to do, right? Accept autonomy without rejection. Listen, encourage, and value their ability to make decisions, right? This is what you raise them for, right? Thinking about letting go. If you find yourself in a conversation with your student about a decision they're making and you find yourself sort of holding on a little too tight, ask yourself why you're holding on. Are you holding on because out of fear? Are you holding on because this is really the wrong decision for this young person to make? And that will inform how you proceed, right? Am I holding on just because to hold on, right? Take a breath. Figure out what's going on. St. Thomas has resources for your student. You'll hear a lot about the resources for your student. Your student is hearing about them too, right? And we have resources for you too. You'll hear more about this with the Dean of Students Office, but we are in partnership with you for your student to have a successful experience at St. Thomas. Right? What you're experiencing is normal. It's hard, but it's normal. Right? You're already familiar with the changes your student is going through, right? Your student is changing, and your student still needs you. I can't stress this enough, folks. I talked to a lot of students. I've been here a long time. I was here before Facebook, if that gives you despite my youthful appearance. And what I hear over and over and over and over again is that you are the most important person and people to the students. It may not feel like that, and you might be in deep conflict, or it just feels like they're not there. But let me tell you, they value you the most. Okay? Keep that in mind. Welcome to the Tommy family, friends. Thank you for your rapt attention. Thanks.